We're going to be talking about something that is a pill to quite a few horror fans, and some people actually appreciate it. Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday to you. Welcome to the Dungeon of Deadly Delights. I am your host, Rob DiLauro, and of course, I have the rest of my crew here, Tiffany and Deborah. How you guys doing today?
Terrific. Good to see you, Rob. Good to see you, Tiffany.
Always, yeah. This is becoming like one of the best parts of my week. So this is fantastic when we always get together.
Mm-hmm.
We're just gonna get right into it today. We wanted to touch on remakes. Because that's a big business right now. It's never going to stop. It's just going to be a continuing machine, and we're just going to have to accept it, or not focus on them and not give money to them. I mean, there's two options there. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I've never had issue with remakes. I think I mentioned before that to me it just feels like a campfire story, and it's never going to be told the same. You know what I mean? Like every single time. So I'm not really. I used to be like that before, but I'm not like that too much anymore. How do you feel about it, Tiffany, when it comes to the whole remake situation?
I don't mind remakes.
Yeah.
As long as they're good, I like them. I look forward to them.
I'm with you,
Deborah,
Tiffany.
what's your feeling on it?
I mean, I feel like I should go the opposite way just to have a different opinion, but I don't feel that way at all. To me, I don't look at a remake. I think some of the problem that comes is that people go to a remake and they have expectations. And it's like, well, I want to have that same feeling that I had at the original. But instead, you just have to take it and say, this is a completely different movie. Let's see what they do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't ever go into a remake with an expectation to see what I've already seen.
Yeah.
I want to see something, different.
Mm-hmm.
And very often, frankly, I think they're better.
I agree.
We get, better and better technology. I love both Cape Fears. The original that's in black and white, Gregory Peck, and the more modern one. Both of them are brilliantly done, but you just have some more bells and whistles with the modern one that you just don't have with the older one.
I
enjoy it, and I don't love it, but it's different.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. I mean, like if a remake's not a complete carbon copy, I think the reason why something like Gus Van Sant's Psycho didn't work, for example, is because he was going like, basically just beat by beat by beat of Alfred Hitchcock. The thing I actually appreciate about Van Sant's version is that there were things that were supposedly so taboo back when Hitchcock was doing it that he couldn't actually put it in to the film. I believe there was actually a part in the script where Norman Bates was watching oh God, I can't remember her name, but
are you talking about Janet Leigh?
Janet Leigh, yes, her character.
Okay.
Her name's like not hitting me right now. But there was a scene where supposedly in Hitchcock's version, because like to be fair, he was kind of a weirdo himself. And there was a scene where Norman Bates was actually watching her through a peephole and he was masturbating. That was something that Gus Van Sant actually put into the film. So like it made it a little more less boy next door, and made him more of a threat, I think, in certain
more
regards.
of a creeper.
Yeah, more of a creeper aspect.
Right.
But but aside from those different points, I mean, it was just basically the same movie, the whole thing. So if you're not doing a remake, and this is what we're going to touch on today, guys. If you're doing a remake and you're not telling the same story, and it's unique and it's fresh, it's got a different voice, and it actually like kind of, it just gels within our modern time period, I think
Right.
it's very effective. So, Tiffany, do you have a remake to start out with?
There are so many that I love, and the one I was just thinking about was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. Because the original is my favorite horror movie, but I love the remake because it's everything that the original was not. It's gory, it's brutal, it shows you everything, and I think it was actually really great for a remake or a reboot or whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't take anything away from the original. The original is still amazing. And I don't think it takes away anything from the original. They're both great. And I don't want a carbon copy. I don't want a remake that's going to do everything that the first one did. I want it to be different. So that's the one that stands out in my mind as one of my favorites.
I agree with that one too. I mean, I know that it got, it left a bad taste in people's mouths because it was a Michael Bay production. But, Kim Henkel and I think even Tobe Hooper were technically part of that process of making those films happen, if I'm not mistaken. What I do love about the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is obviously it was a fresher take on it. The characters were much different because, to be quite honest with you, aside from Marilyn Burns, I mean, who did you not want to see die in that group? I mean, they're very annoying people. So it just seemed like they had more of a personality this time around where you actually cared for them. And Erica Learson, the redhead actress, people actually used to call her my sister back in the day because apparently, we look exactly the same somehow. But I just thought you had a better connection with those particular characters. The other thing I loved about it, too, was that the family, I'm not going to say it was more dynamic, but you had, Arlie Ermey's character come from out of nowhere, and that was, instantly memorable. There were so many different points of that remake that worked so well for me. And I loved A New Beginning, or the one after it too. I really enjoyed it.
I liked it too. Yeah.
That whole series was just dope. I love that series that they created for the remake. And then of course, again, it's another iconic character, so it's just gonna have all these different, renditions and whatnot, and say what you will about the last one that came out, but his origins as a child or whatever, but those two that you're talking about, I think they were both a slam dunk. I think they were awesome. What about you, Deborah? What do you have on for tonight?
Well, there's a couple that come to mind immediately. One, like I said, Cape Fear. For me, some of the stuff that really makes the second one work, I mean, obviously, amazing actors all the way around, both on the old version and the new remake.
Yeah.
Well, not new now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But if you'll watch the camera movement, it's, the older films, the black and whites and stuff, they tend to be very stationary. There's not that much going on. There's not, it feels stable, like a stable environment, And so while it may still be scary, it doesn't have that extra kick that comes with just a lot of the modern technology.
I think it's also too that for his time, obviously Robert Mitchum was a very menacing guy, but I don't think he would be menacing at that particular point where Scorsese actually wanted to redo it. With a more modern take on it. De Niro was terrifying. He was terrifying.
He was absolutely terrifying. Yeah.
And there was aspects to him where you kind of felt sorry for him, sort of, to a certain degree, which is that's always an interesting thing when you can actually not necessarily just root for the technical bad guy, but also kind of feel some sort of weird vindication for that character or whatnot. But all in all, he was one of the scariest characters probably in movie history. Everybody still talks about Cape Fear, and just everybody's performance was just wonderful. Jessica Lange, come on, she was wonderful.
She was brilliant. I know.
Juliette Lewis was just so like, you know, like you honestly thought Juliette was like a 16-year-old girl. It was,
I know.
like, those performances were on point, every single one, and
Right.
that ending was just magnificent with the
Right.
you know, waves coming through, and he's going and he's doing all the all the gibberish, all the
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it was
southern,
crazy,
you know,
intense.
yeah. So yeah, no, I 100%. Cape Fear is wonderful.
Yeah. I think another one that doesn't get enough credit is the Friday the 13th reboot. You know,
You're the one to talk about that one.
that, I mean, there's some things that you could criticize, but, you know, I like to take a movie for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like Derek Mears made Jason scarier.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, oh shit, he's like moves really fast. I mean, this guy, I don't think I'm gonna, you know, outrun him.
Yeah.
And, you know, Jason's kind of slow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to me, he was scarier.
Yeah. What did you think about that remake, Tiffany?
I love the Friday the 13th remake.
Oh, nice.
I watch it. If I see it streaming somewhere or I see that it's on, I watch it every time. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I'm a huge fan.
Well, I hope Derek is watching, because I'm a monster fan of Derek Mears. I actually just became friends with him on Facebook not too long ago because of his portrayal of Swamp Thing, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah, I really like him.
Oh, he's great. He's such a nice guy. Very personable to his fans. I mean, you can't ask for a better, you know, person. Like, you know, he's a lot like you when it comes to, you know, the connection, interaction with people, and he deserves everything that's coming his way. Or you know, Swamp Thing is being canceled or whatever. But you know what? I think for what we'll get from that particular season, I think that season will be something that people will be talking about for years after this.
Right.
As far as my feelings on it, I didn't like the Friday the 13th remake the first time I saw it. I think it took some aging and maturing to finally like get back to what they were trying to do.
What was it you didn't like initially?
I think it was initially the cast. It was like one of those casts where you're just like, man, I just want like every one of these people to die, and I guess that's the point.
I love it.
You know?
I love slashers. They're like one of my favorite like subgenres, like teen slashers all the way.
Yeah. The other thing I didn't really care for in the beginning, I'm talking about the first, you know, run, was that I wasn't quite understanding the whole, like, you know, he's still alive and, you know, like he's going to kidnap this sister and take her to a tunnel situation. I was just like, what are they doing with this?
Right.
But then when I looked at it again, like years later, as I said before, with some, you know, maturation and aging, I do understand, you know, how effective that is. And I do like the fact that he does run, because, you know, aside from a little, you know, there's actually pieces in the Friday 13th series, the original, where you can kind of see him going fast.
Right.
But, like, you know, the way he was tearing ass at people, like, there's no getting away from that. I thought, you know, like Derek was an effective Jason. He's like probably one of the most iconic in the series, you know, in the franchise, for sure. There's no question.
I agree.
And there was a lot of suspense to it too, which I loved when I saw it again. You know, when I rewatched it, there's a lot.
I really like suspense. I like it when I don't know, you know, what's going on. I like it when I don't know. I want something to be left to answer. You know, like. I want something that's that's keeping me guessing.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to we know who the killer is. Although in Cape Fear we know who the killer is, but it still worked.
You don't know how unhinged he is. He just kind of goes through.
Yeah, and you never knew what he was going to do. He kept like upping that all the time, and it really. And so much of it was because you really cared so much about the family, and you really wanted them to be okay. and
I
he
think
was
the crowning
really
moment.
in the mood.
I think the crowning moment for him, like, or the switch for him in that movie was when he grabbed Nick Nolte's friend, and they were supposed to have a little tryst together, and he just goes, "Gotcha, bitch!" and he fucking puts her hand behind her arm and like bites a piece of her face off, and you're like, what is going on now? You know, and that's set the roller coaster, like, just, you know,
Right.
yeah, that was. I mean, De Niro's performance in that is just timeless.
Yeah, no, he was insane in that film. So
insanely ripped. I mean, like, he really worked out for that. I mean, like, Robert Mitchum was just kind of. It was interesting because when in Robert Mitchum's day, like, actors, like, when they were cut and sexy, like, they just kind of had these barrel chests and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't care.
Right.
But like Robert, like De Niro, like Robert, like I know him. De Niro, like, really worked out for that role. I mean, he put so much like, so much into it, and
right.
It's just impressive, But Martin Scorsese is one of my favorite directors of all time. So.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I guess let's see. So I don't want to talk about the most recent one yet, but I did want to ask you guys if there was an actual remake that hasn't been done yet. Is there anything in the genre or otherwise that you could see being remade for this day and age? Because I do have one, and I've had one for quite a few years. Anything for you guys?
Not off the top of my head.
For me, and there has been a television version of The Bad Seed done again.
Yeah.
But I would like to personally do a film version.
Yeah.
Of The Bad Seed.
Did they do one with Macaulay Culkin? It was called The Good Son. Was that pretty much the same thing?
I actually didn't see that one, but I think it has, it may have a similar thing.
Yeah, there's like different iterations. Yeah.
But The Bad Seed, to me, is just an absolute brilliant film.
Yeah.
And being that it's in, it's 1959, if I remember correctly. I know it's the 50s, but I'm pretty sure it's 59. There was so much to it that if you could take and put it into a modern setting, and with modern special effects and modern camera movements and stuff like that, I just think that it could absolutely be mind-blowing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's the one I want to do. I want to make that one again.
I hope you do. I actually have one, since Tiffany can't think of one. One of them that really, like, I love to death. I cherish it, but it's so, let's say, beautifully dated, like, when it comes to, like, the whole 80s factor, but one that could probably be remade, Night of the Comet.
Is which one?
Night of the Comet. With Kelly Maroney and Mary Catherine Stewart. I think it's very dated, which, to its credit, it like, being dated is great and everything, but I think the story, especially with, like, the whole, fear of an apocalyptic situation, with, climate change or whatever it is, or, like, there's so many different aspects that you could put into it. But, like, aside from that, I think it's probably one of the better 80s movies. It's a great Christmas movie. If you guys don't know, it is a Christmas movie. But yeah, it could definitely use a little bit of a polish, I think. That was definitely the one that I always wanted to kind of, maybe redo, and, but it's an awesome movie still. I just, that's the one that I kind of look at those, like the the landscape, the sky, and the way it's kind of, like, I guess it's like pink or pinkish purple or whatever, and it just looks very dated, and I'm just like,
Right.
And another one that I always thought could be remade, and it's not even a horror film, is Logan's Run. That's another one. Those are the two that I really like. That carousel scene, like, doesn't work now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in Logan's Run. So I would love to see those remade. Did you think of one, Tiff?
No.
Deborah, do you have another?
And like everything that I'm thinking of, I'm like, oh, that's already been remade.
Yeah.
You know.
How about one you might remake differently?
That because
That's a good question. That's a really great question.
Yeah, Martyrs.
Not necessarily. Maybe you just have a different vision.
I would say like Martyrs and Inside. The remakes were such letdowns that I think they didn't get the respect that they should have gotten because the originals are such masterpieces.
Mm-hmm.
Those would be something that I would want to see remade better.
Okay, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. We don't shit on art here, but I absolutely agree with you 100%, especially on Martyrs. Wow, yeah, that's definitely like that was a big no-no.
Yeah, I thought Inside was worse. I thought that felt like a Lifetime movie, where the other one still felt like a good horror movie, but this Inside was so watered down and so tame that it just did not capture anything of the original.
I agree. And it's sad to say because like those two actresses are like two of my favorites. Rachel Nichols I actually had on my radio show a couple years ago because I like had like a deep affinity for her, and but yeah, it wasn't good. Didn't turn out well. Sorry. Tiffany, do you have another remake that we could talk about that you thought was effective?
I really like the remake of Maniac.
Yes.
With Elijah Wood. I actually like it better than the original.
Oh wow. Wow.
I know.
No. Listen, no. There's no. I that's just like I hear that. I just like never heard it out loud.
Oh, I know. I also really like the remake of Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Better than the original.
Wow. What did you like about? Okay, listen. I absolutely 100% agree with you on certain aspects of that particular of that topic of Evil Dead. What was it about that remake that you thought was better than the original? Because I might be on the same page as you. Did you see the remake for Evil Dead, Deborah?
I haven't.
Okay.
I am not a huge fan of horror comedy.
Yeah.
I like that the remake did not have a lot of comedy in it.
Yeah.
I am a huge gorehound, so that right there being different, and even that last scene, I don't want to give it away because Deborah hasn't seen it, but just that updates to it. Personally, I mean, this is just my personal opinion. I know I'll get vilified for it, but
no.
It's like
we just won't look at the YouTube comments. It's totally fine. All right, so I agree with you on this simply because, okay, I love Ash Williams as a character. Don't get me wrong, okay, but I just loved the journey of Mia a little bit better. Ash was just trying to get his dick wet, and he brought a girl to a cabin where they were actually taking her to a cabin so she could actually kick heroin.
Yeah.
And like the fact that like she would have hallucinations and all these different machinations going on around her made more sense simply because she was like dope sick. So you know what I mean? So there was like those different levels like I actually appreciate a lot more. It wasn't just for me it wasn't just like yes like girl power, let's turn a famous male character into a female. I don't think it was like that at all.
I didn't even think about that, honestly.
Continuing journey of Mia. I'm always dying and hoping that they do that. I just thought it was amazing. I thought the acting was amazing. I thought there's young actors that they got for that really brought their A game. And let's face it, that really proved to us that Fede Alvarez, I mean, after maybe like one short film, honestly, like we could have put him on our future master list last week. I mean, Don't Breathe was amazing too. Oh my God, it was amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's an incredible director. So the fact that he was able to pull that off, and I think he did, speaks a lot for him. And just that particular rendition of Evil Dead. I love that one. I agree with you 100% on that. So, Deborah, do you have another one?
That I'd like to see done, or
just one that you think is like really effective that worked for you.
Yeah, there's been a few.
Do you want to get back to? Do you want
a little bit? Yeah, let me think about it a little bit more.
Okay. One I'm going to throw out there, and here you go. Here's another one that we're going to be vilified for, because I know a lot of people didn't like it for whatever reason, but I am going to say Pet Sematary was a phenomenal remake. I love that ending 10 times better than the original. I thought it was just so effective in terms of, the family dynamic, the switch, which I wish they never announced to us before we went to see that movie. Like, just let us find out on our own that it's not Gage Creed, that he's the issue that, of the film. And it's the sister, and it's the whole turnaround. It made more sense to me that it would actually be her simply because she's older, and I love that part of it. And she wasn't like, and I'm not taking away from Miko at all. I think he did a great job. He was just a little kid, but, she just made more sense as a menacing character as opposed to this no fair, little tiny guy. You know what I mean? And, there's just certain pieces of that film that just worked so much more for me. But I do love, hopefully most of you guys have seen it. But the ending was just so much better, and it made sense that they would become one happy zombie family. I thought that was a pretty awesome way to end things. And it opens up, further universes, and we can talk about the Wendigo now and do this stuff and da-da-da, which we're probably going to do. But as a standalone remake, I thought it was pretty phenomenal. Pet Sematary. Yeah. Have you seen the Pet Sematary remake, Deborah?
I haven't.
Okay, well, it's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD soon, so you should definitely check it out.
I'll definitely be watching it when I can stream it.
Did you think of something?
I think it would be a lot of fun to redo Psycho. Because once again,
man, we were just like hitting the blasphemy levels, like a thermometer.
Yeah, I mean, I love the black and white version of it. I absolutely love Janet in that role, but I would really like to see, once again, an updated version, a modern version, not something set back in the same time period.
Oh, okay, yeah.
A modern version. I think that it's such a great story. And
you mean kind of like Bates Motel, like they did with the TV show?
I do like that series very much so, and I
hated that ending. I hated it.
He's such a brilliant actor. I first saw him in August Rush. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but he was a kid. And he just played absolutely brilliant. You never doubted for a second, who he was, or, how sometimes you're watching a movie and you break out a moment and you're like, oh, he's such a great actor. Well, this one, you just never, ever break away. I mean, he is who he says he is. And I think that one would be a lot of fun to do. I see a lot of the old films, some of Hitchcock's films and stuff that I know a lot of people think that they're sacred, but nah, you love something, doing a remake is brilliant. I think, and when I say a remake, I think sometimes we just expect them to do the exact same thing. Maybe remake isn't the right word.
Like
maybe
reimagining, retelling.
A retelling. I like the idea of the reimagining, because then you're bringing in new elements and doing different things. And, by placing it in modern times, what I like about that is that it opens the door to new possibilities. Just because it's in modern times.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Who would you like to see play Norman Bates if they remade it?
If to remake the movie, I would use Freddie from the series. I think he's.
Oh, you would use Freddie Highmore? Okay.
Yeah, I think he's a brilliant actor.
It ain't broke.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be wonderful to have him in that. I mean, there's some other people that could be really good in it, but I think he would be really spectacular.
I agree.
And really, I just feel like you could take it to a whole new level. You know, it can be R-rated. They can. I just think the creep factor. Think of the special effects. If you do practical special effects, the kind of things that you could do with it, it'd be phenomenal.
I would love to see my favorite. Actually, it's not Psycho. I have a deep passion and love for Psycho, but my favorite Hitchcock film is Vertigo. I would love to see what they could actually do with that. Maybe with like an actress like Naomi Watts or something. Oh my God! Like, that would be a great one too. Which actually, like, Hitchcock didn't really care for. He wanted to scrap it, like, the first time he saw it. So, like you were saying, like, we think everything's sacred, but, to the filmmakers, they don't maybe quite feel the same, So there is room for a retouching. That was the same thing that happened with Last House on the Left and Hills Have Eyes. Wes Craven didn't have the money to, do the stories that he wanted to do. So before he passed, he actually executive produced and stood there during the filmings of like Last House on the Left and, like made sure that it was a better fleshed out story than the original. So he actually had plenty to do with that remake. And that's another one I love too. I love that Last House on the Left.
That's a good one.
Right. Yeah,
and Hills Have Eyes. Oh, rest in peace, Billy Drago, man. He just passed away today.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. And, the father from Alpha actually passed away, and I bring that up because one of the remakes that I'm looking forward to is Stephen King's Hand, which is going to be on CBS All Access. It's going to be directed by Josh Boone this time around. If I'm, like, the source is correct, supposedly like James Marsden and Whoopi Goldberg, and like they have a cast already lined up or they're in talks with. I love Mick Garris's version. That actually made me like fall for Mick's work was the Stan miniseries, because the Stan book was actually my favorite book and still is of all time. Like that really taught me like what epic storytelling is supposed to be.
Right.
It inspired me so much, and like that miniseries is still top notch for me. But I'd love to see what they can actually do with it now, because there's a lot of fear for these types of things, like disease. It's just the right time for it.
Right.
I mean, it was then obviously, but there is definitely a fear factor there that you can play into to, tell a more modern story, I believe, Tiffany, do you have anything else? Like, because I've got one more and then.
There are a lot of remakes that I like. And some not necessarily better than the original, just that I like in general. I really like House of Wax, the remake. I really like the Piranha remake. Like you said, Hills Have Eyes was really good. I love the My Bloody Valentine remake because, me and my teen slashers.
I did like the Bloody Valentine remake a lot. I thought that was pretty. Yeah. It's pretty cool. I like that one.
That's all I can think of right now.
All right, well, I'm going to end on one, and this is the one that I wanted to talk to. This is the one that kind of gave me the idea of, actually having this conversation to begin with. And I think, for the most part, it's, I'd say it's about, maybe like 60-40 in the horror community. That Child's Play is like a wonderful retelling of the original. If you guys have not seen it, it's completely different. It has nothing to do with Charles E. Ray. There's no possession of a doll from a serial killer, through voodoo. It is more akin to like what's going on now with our technologies and Alexas and Wi-Fi and all that. Not to tell you too much about the story, but it's basically you have him on an assembly line in Vietnam. There's a disgruntled worker who turns off all the safety functions on the dolls, or this particular doll. And when he ends up getting in the hands of this child, Andy, well, not really a child, he's about 12 probably. They live in the inner city, and his mom, Aubrey Plaza, is a single mom, kind of like the original. But she, gets this like really amazing expensive doll really cheap, and she ends up taking it home for her son. And what it does is it basically scans whoever owns the doll as soon as you come into the household. It comes into the household. So it can control your Wi-Fi, control your Alexa, control your cable, can even control your car, which is actually something they get into in the movie at the end of the movie, the third act. But I thought Mark Hamill did a phenomenal job. I had no doubt in my mind that he was going to be an incredible voice actor for Chucky. He made Chucky, he made him kind of sympathetic, and I know that sounds kind of lame or whatever, because you're like, oh, he's not sympathetic at all, But like the aspect that I loved about it is that it wasn't him just murdering for the sake of murder. It was him falling in love with this kid. Like that was his main function. Like, this is my best friend. I'm your friend till the end. And once somebody tries to take that away from him, that's when he goes berserk. And I just thought that all of that was so effective. I thought the actors did a wonderful job. And honestly, like, I was very optimistic about it. And I don't really have like a deep affinity for the original Child's Play. I love the original. But other than that, I mean, like Cold of Chucky and Heat and all that stuff, I could really kind of do without, honestly. There really wasn't too much investment there anyway. I just thought it was a great retelling. That movie should have been trash, but they really pulled it off. The director pulled it off. The writers pulled it off. I just thought that it was extremely effective. And I know it didn't do extremely well at the box office, but I think it made its money back. But I'm just going to advise you guys, like, just follow your own heart on this one, just like any other remake or any other thing. If you guys are hearing that, like, I know there's a fuck Child's Play 2019, like, cult going on right now where people are just like, writing like negative reviews so people don't see it and all this stuff. But, I'm telling you, it was an awesome remake. And I highly, highly recommend it to anybody, like once it comes out on Blu-ray, or better yet, go see it in the theater. I mean, great experience. So that's it, I think. Did you have anything else, or?
No, thank you guys so much. It was great chatting with you guys again.
Great to see you.
Every week.
All right.
So
Take
listen,
care,
guys, we have a holiday coming up, so we're not going to be doing a show next week.
Okay.
We're gonna, let our ladies, have their fun. I may come on here myself, and like I'm thinking of what I might do. I might ask the fans if they have any questions, and I might do that for half an hour. I don't really know, but I do want to give the team a break, and we'll be back the week after, and we'll have another awesome topic to talk about. And just want to thank you guys so much for the support. The Facebook page that I created for us is actually blowing up right now. Corey and Webb have been at it, like helping us so much. And I know, like, I've been helping promote, and you guys have been doing the same thing. I think, we've really got something special here. So thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts. Really do appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, you guys have a great night, and we'll scare you in a couple weeks. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye. Take care. Bye-bye.